Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I am going over my top 7 tips for the overwhelmed goal setter. I used the MAKSELIFE system in 2020 and 2021, and I did not use any goal setting system for 2022. I was burnt out, I was overwhelmed, so I am definitely coming to you from a place of overwhelm as well for this year. And I'm just gonna share some of the tips that really helped me as I'm setting up my goal planner. So you could use these tips pretty much for any goal setting system. I am personally using the MAKSELIFE goal setting system. So one of my very first tips when you are starting, always go through and read everything, all the prep pages, go through and highlight. I have done this since the MAKSELIFE has come out. Go through, highlight things that matter to you, write little notes to yourself, underline, like everything. I even put one of my little favorite quotes here that I had previously used for one of my self-care Sundays. It just like helps you to better understand and get to know the goal setting system. And that's what's really gonna set you up for success. Write little notes to yourself. It says when setting goals, establishing your starting point is crucial to avoiding frustration, distractions, and wasted energy. That wasted energy I marked up here, I had way too much of that for 2022. So I know I want to avoid that for 2023. So for tip number 2, start with a list. I personally use the 2022 year-end reflections notebook that came free with your purchase. So I've been using this. You can literally just use a notebook, a notepad. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. But I went through and used this. So like I said, I did not do any goal setting for 2022. And so this was kind of nice for me to just write down the compass and not go too far in depth with any of the goal setting process. So I could see where I was mentally and what areas I really wanted to work on. You were able to go through and mark or write down some of your wins, highlights. There are a few things that are a little more personal in here that I am like blocking out with some Post-its, but you kind of get the gist of it all. You have challenges, lessons, growth, and gratitude. And then this was probably one of my biggest things with this notebook was what's working and what is not working. And so I just basically made this into a like mind map type thing. Wrote down everything that was working for me, like keeping my small circle, doing what I enjoy on social media. My current planner for my daily was working really well. Gus doing his immunotherapy, knowing when to slow down. And what's not working was skipping my workouts, always being in a season of busy, not having a main planner for the year to keep all things like rooted, including my monthly views. So I was able to like see visually what was working and what was not working. Tip number 4 is writing down what you want in 2023 and ask yourself what is going to add value to your life. You had impact, adjustments, and a little bit more of your reflections. And I have not done it yet, but there is an area to write a letter to yourself. And then it's just some of my older annual goals and prep pages just so I could kind of like compare. It was such a big help for me. The next tip is to complete your compass assessment and your life compass. So the compass assessment or your assessment scoring is going to break down with different statements and questions every category so that you can come up with what score you have in each category. So when I do this, I will go through and do all my score, but I will kind of write notes to myself too. Like here, it says, I give myself grace for my limits and imperfections. I wrote, I have been extremely hard on myself. So, and I just go through and highlight with like, you know, the matching colors, but I will go through and do that throughout this whole thing. And I've been doing that for a couple years now, and it's just been really, really helpful. And it makes this a more personable page as well. So for me, I knew like my financial was lower. We needed to kind of really reel that back in for this coming year. I was actually surprised that my health and wellness was a 6 because I feel like I was not doing very good on that. I do feel like I'm in a better headspace now. So I think that's kind of why it had come up a little bit. So this just gives you a better idea of what areas of life, hey, maybe I need to take a little bit away from this and put more energy towards my financial or vice versa. So I'm just going to show you guys some of my annual goals. These are some of the goals that I have already set up. I shared this over on Instagram, so people have seen this. I have completed, I believe, 5 of the 8 categories, so there's still a few that I have not done, and I just kind of covered up because I've added a few more things to these lists. So I've covered those up because, especially in my family relationships, it's a little bit more personal, so probably not something I'm going to share. For my annual goals, what I did this year was I have went through and answered the focus and the question of how will my life improve by reaching these personal goals. And then I broke this up. So on the right-hand side, let me zoom this in. So on the right-hand side, I have basically all of my goals that I want to do for my personal as of right now. I still have room to add into this or change some things, or but like here I put create a realistic morning routine. So this is basically what I already do, except I want to start waking up at 5:15 and doing my morning workouts a few days a week because it makes me feel better. I know I am more successful. That will help me knock out 2 of my goals, especially with my health and wellness. And it just kind of ties into both. And then one of the major things that I did different this year was I wrote down 3 to 4 different questions that I wanted to ask myself continually throughout the year as like a check-in. I wanted to be able to use these questions if I did not use like my monthly goals. I wanted to still be able to check in monthly. So I can ask myself every month, how can I make my mornings intentional? What do I want to take with me into the future? And am I prioritizing my life in line with what makes me happy? I absolutely love these questions. This was probably one of my favorite ideas to really draw in my annual goals. So for my working learning, again, I am doing this for my social media. So I'm asking myself monthly, what community am I trying to create? What do I want to bring to social media? And am I posting in a way that reflects my true self? Another like goal over here that I had is that I want to reflect monthly on my why. Why am I doing this? This is a hobby for me. I want to keep it fun. One of my major goals here is the health and wellness. So this looks like a lot, but these are things that I have already been doing, like the first 2 to 4-ish, 2 to 5. So I want to continue with my life coach workout routine. It got me really excited about working out again, putting my meals on FitnessPal. I want to maintain my goal weight, which I did not put on here. I need to add that on here. But some of the questions that I want to ask monthly: what's taking up most of my headspace right now? What is something I can do that will make me feel good? What am I choosing to make a priority? And how do I want to feel in 2023? It's such a good concept. I don't even know why, like, I didn't think of this years ago, but it is so helpful. I just feel like I was not in a good headspace like in 2020, 2021 when I was setting goals. I'll just be honest with you. There's like so much pressure to have like the prettiest thing on social media and like the best goal. Like there were a few goals that I was just doing for the internet and I hated it. So I did not want to do that at all. I wanted this to literally be for me, and I was just going to share it with you guys in hopes that it would help you set your goals. So as I'm going through and doing this, I do have some smaller goals and then a couple reach goals that may be a little bit bigger, like my goal weight. These are probably 2 of my favorites. Does the environment I surround myself with add value to my life? And then what am I tolerating? So those are 2 big questions that I want to ask myself every single month. I found, especially these 2, I just searched on Pinterest, and it's basically how I have like completed most of my goals. Like I said, I still have a few that I need to write out because I'm kind of waiting to see how 2022 pans out before I finish these. And then I'll set them up for the coming year after I kind of see how things are going. Tip number 6 is to basically work on one category at a time. Some are easier than others, but it's very individualized. Like for me, my fun and rec and usually my personal section up here are like 2 of the hardest that I have of setting goals. I started with things that I knew I would be able to set easily, like my work and learning or my health and wellness. I really knew what I wanted out of those 2 groups, and so that's what I worked on first. Tip number 7, and my last tip, is that everyone's goals are different. You might use their process, you might use my process, but remember that the goals are yours and the goals are very individualized, and just keep that in the back of your mind because it's easy to look at everyone's goals and actually like kind of make those your goals. And then in the middle of the year, you find like that doesn't even work for me. So you can get drawn into the process of things. Like if you want to use questions to check in throughout the months, but just remember the goals are yours. So those are the tips that I used in creating some of my goals for the year. I'm keeping it simple because I was the overwhelmed goal setter. I still kind of am, and that's okay. So I hope that these tips really helped you. If they did, let me know down below. And if you are going to use kind of this like process with the questions to ask yourself, let me know as well, because I want you to share the questions that you're going to ask yourself down below, because it might be something that I want to ask myself. And I just think it would be really fun to kind of go through and share those in each category. Let me know down below. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope these 7 tips really helped you in any way, shape, or form. Thank you guys so much for watching.